Hey everyone, Austin here again with another Let's Play video. As you can see, it's going to be a Mega 5 for the Xbox 360. This came out in 2008, was developed by Natsume and published by Hudson Soft, as you can see on the title screen. It's a side-scrolling horizontal shoot-'em-up, comparable to classic shooters like Forgotten Worlds, or Scat, or even Sidearms to an extent. And this is actually a pretty nice looking game for 2008 for an Xbox Live Arcade release specifically, and despite its short length at only 4 stages, it's actually a lot of fun. And I fired it up last night and I ended up running through it multiple times, and then tonight I ended up running through it, oh God knows how many times, just refamiliarizing myself with the game and reacquainting myself with it. I bought it when it first came out in 2008 and just had a blast with it and put a lot of time into it, but I haven't played it much in the last decade since. But I'm glad I fired it up again because, for one, I'm doing this Let's Play now on it, which is pretty cool. I get to show it off to you guys. But two, it's just a ton of fun. I've just really enjoyed my time with it again. So I'm pretty happy to be able to show this off to you guys. So before I jump into things, as usual, and, you know, explain things before we start playing, I'd like to give a big shout out to my current Patreon backers. So thank you guys for your continued support. If anyone out there is interested in supporting this show through Patreon, links are in the description box as always. Also, we're going to thank our live stream super chatters. Thank you guys for your continued support on my live streams. I stream on Friday nights, so if you're around then, feel free to stop in and say hello. So yeah, you've got a bunch of different things here. You got your usual achievements, you can do multiplayer, you've got leaderboards, and you've also got various options in here. If you click how to play, it basically explains everything on the screen. So you've got score multipliers, you've got a health bar, you've got bombs, you've got score, and then you've also got a percentage meter, which tells you how close you are to earning your next bomb. You can also see what your controls are. There's no way to reconfigure your controls, but this at least tells you what the controls do. You can use either the analog stick or the D-pad for movement, which is nice. There's a lot of shooters on the 360, more indie releases, that force you to use the analog stick, and I absolutely hate that. I don't know why people do that for a game that you know, basically has you moving in 8 directions. D-pads are always the best for that, and arcade sticks, of course, naturally, and this game lets you use either one. Unfortunately, shooting is done via the right analog stick, and I just say unfortunately because arcade stick aficionados won't be able to use those with this game, because this does require you to use the right analog stick. I'd say that's probably one of the only downsides to the controls in this game. Otherwise, the controls are actually set up very well by default, so I don't really worry about them not being configurable. You've got a couple different options here. You can change the voice, system voice to male or female, and you've also got retro mode. Retro mode adds this really cool filter and changes the soundtrack to a retro style version of the soundtrack. It's actually a nice little bonus, which is pretty cool. So we're going to go ahead and leave that off. And let's go ahead and go into single player here. You've got a couple different modes here. Arcade mode, you do have a health bar in this game, so it's multiple hits and then you die and game over. On Arcade Plus mode, the score multipliers are increased, but it's one-hit kills. So one hit, you're dead, game over, and you've lost your 1 credit clear. You can continue, but you get downgraded in your firepower, and honestly, the game's not as much fun when you don't have your upgrades. Challenge mode is basically like score attack, so you can just play one of the 4 stages and try to get your best score possible. Challenge Plus mode is the same thing, except it's using the Arcade Plus rules, where it's you die in 1 hit and you've got the higher, more valuable score multipliers. Let's go ahead and jump into arcade mode. You've got 4 different characters. This is RAD and this is Sensei. RAD and Sensei are both unlockable characters. You unlock Sensei by beating the game with this guy right here, this four-armed guy, Tempest, and then you unlock RAD here by playing as Ruby. We're going to actually go ahead and play as Ruby on this playthrough, so let's go ahead and jump in with her. What I'm going to do here is actually grab the first red power-up I see, and then I'm going to grab the green power-up I see right below it as well. The reason I do that is just to get upgraded a little bit faster. So we switched over to the green power-up. The blue power-up is a good one. Not actually a huge fan of the green power-up. We're not going to really use this at all in this playthrough. But the reason I have it right now is just to get leveled up to level 3 right away, just like that. So picking up the same color power-up is how you extend or expand your weapon power in this game. And we're at level 3 right now. Level 3 is the maximum, so we're actually the strongest that we can be. So that's just a quick way to get powered up as quickly as possible. And then we're going to switch back to the red power right here. The red power with Ruby is probably my favorite, with the blue laser right behind that. I'm going to go ahead and just try to take these guys out. I'm going to get over here to the right because this guy is going to basically stomp his way back in just like that. He can also punch, and you'll always avoid his punch as long as you stay at the top of the screen. So what we're doing is also picking up these pink triangles, and what they do is fill up this meter in the bottom left-hand portion of the screen. When you fill that up to 100%, it'll actually it'll award you a bomb, a screen-clearing bomb. Almost a screen-clearing bomb. It actually has some caveats to it, but I'll explain that once we get it, and I'll show it off to you guys. So we got some laser turrets on the bottom here, and these guys come out. They basically drop junk, and you can try to destroy that for extra points. So there is a scoring system in this game, and it basically involves you not letting your meter at the bottom, your multiplier meter, dropping back to 0. And how it drops back to 0 is when you spend too long between attacking enemies. So killing enemies will raise it, just hitting enemies and not killing them will just keep the multiplier where it's at. So there's probably a couple second gap, maybe not even a couple seconds, that it takes for your multiplier to drop. So if you want to keep your multiplier up down in the bottom left, you need to be constantly attacking enemies and not having too long of a stretch between hitting enemies. So one way to keep your multiplier going, keeping it up, is just sort of like tapering your shots like this, keeping them slow. That way, you know, your multiplier is still up, and you know there are constantly enemies on the screen that you can constantly be touching. And as long as you're touching the enemies, your multiplier will stay up. And that's the tricky part of the scoring system and scoring high in this game. When you first play this game, I recommend just playing for survival and just learning the game like that. The game's just a lot of fun that way, but you can also play for score. And try to take the game a little bit farther. And when you're playing for score, you think about things differently. You think, okay, I'm not just here to annihilate everything as fast as possible. I actually want to keep some of these enemies out so I can keep hitting them, which then in turn keeps my multiplier up. And then, you know, you'll eventually kill them and destroy them. These guys right here are actually health refills, so you do get health refills in this game as well. This game isn't terribly difficult. I mean, when you first play it, you will die quite a bit, but it won't take you long at all to get good at this game. Like, you'll probably, after a couple of playthroughs, you should be able to get through this game without a problem, really. Unless you're just absolutely terrible, and that's okay. But you'll notice that we're at times 10 right now, so it does tell you what the score values are for every enemy you kill, and it tells you, you know, that value, times your, where it tells you that value, and then it tells you what your multiplier is currently at, which is nice. So our multiplier is at times 10 right now. If I keep hitting this guy in the head like this, it'll stay at times 10. So I'm going to wait for him to use his ice attack, just like this. We're getting 200 times 10 per. Now the little pink triangles, they do actually give you tiny points as well. So if you're playing for score, obviously you want to try to pick up as many of these little triangles as you can as well. But I'm not really going to focus on that too much in this playthrough, as long as I've got all my bombs anyway. If you don't have all your bombs, you definitely want to pick them up, because that's how you get your bombs. And I really like that mechanic. There's these constant little pickups that you can pick up. And they're useful. They're not just there for tiny points or something like that. They're there to help you out with your offense as well. They help you build your bombs up, and Bombs are good in this game, especially if you want to try to go through without getting hit. So there's a little bit of a trick we're going to do here on this boss. You can get in the middle. I don't really recommend sitting in the middle on a first time playthrough, but it is something you can do. I'm going to go ahead and just use our bombs, like so. Very nice. Very nice. Didn't take a hit. So the boss's weak spot is the open area that's not shielded by like his hard white coat on the outside. So if you let the boss come in and you stay in the middle right as he appears, you'll be able to just do some damage right away before he even really starts his patterns. And we're gonna actually switch back over to the red shot. Because with Ruby, the red shot's definitely my favorite. It's got the biggest spread shot for her. And it also does probably the most damage. And since we use all our bombs, I definitely want to pick up all these little pink icons now. And I'm not going to really worry about my multiplier. I find it's actually really hard to keep your multiplier up on this level. I can keep my multiplier up on the first level almost the entire way through if I do it right. But on this level, I just haven't really figured it out. So these guys that come out, they have these objects on the sides of them, these creatures on the sides that pop off, and they'll shoot at you. So you can either try to just shoot those guys off, or you can go for the head of the object and or the creature. And if you destroy the head of the creature, it'll shed its entire skin, set of skin, and all those little other creatures will just get killed in the process. So it's kind of interesting. There's some nice attention to detail in this game with the enemies and the gameplay and how you interact with them and things like that. It's really cool. All right, so we've almost got our next bomb, and I'm gonna want that for future sections. So we just got a bomb. These guys right here, they spit out these green projectiles. You gotta watch out for those, because with Ruby at least, those projectiles cannot be absorbed. And same with Tempest. Now, if you're playing as Sensei, the sword-wielding guy, he can actually destroy them. He destroys projectiles with his sword. He's ridiculously easy to play with. So having bombs is actually really good for these little bugs that just fly around you like that. There's going to be a part coming up in a little bit where there's just hordes of them around you, and you can just clear them all out in one swoop with your bombs. And more of these bulb-looking things are going to come up from the bottom, from the water, so you want to watch out for those. If you're trying to play for score, remember that if you take a hit... Ooh, we just took a hit. That sucks. When you take a hit, you lose your multiplier. Your multiplier goes right back down to 0. And something to keep in mind with these guys that pop up is you'll notice that they'll basically drop these spores that'll pop up, and those will actually turn into other enemies, and that's what I got hit by. I wasn't watching out for their spores. So I'm going to try to demonstrate just killing these guys. And something I haven't really explained is that Ruby actually has these pods, and by pressing the R trigger you can actually latch them on to enemies. And it'll do extra damage, and Ruby will also focus on wherever it's latched onto. So basically the way to dish out the most damage on bosses and enemies is by latching on with Ruby with her pod. Bam, we just got it. So he's gonna shed his skin, all these enemies are gonna die. We're gonna get to refill our bombs. Now this thing doesn't die permanently, but it does look pretty nasty actually. It's pretty cool. I love it when games have attention to detail like that. They don't need to have that, but they do. Like, the developers went the extra mile to just make a more engaging experience. I really love it when developers go all out, especially when they don't have to. Because those snake worm things, they're cool enough as is, but having their skin shed and have all the enemies die and have the visual style of the enemy change is just, it's awesome. Doesn't need to be there, but the fact that it is just makes it so much better. Alright, so these guys are shielded from the front until they open up. You can actually get a head start in killing them by shooting them from behind. And there's going to be another one that comes up from the left here. Alright. So this boss is shielded. You have to wait for his shield to come loose, and then you can do some damage. When this attack comes out, you want to try to shoot the pods that are connected to him. And that'll kind of bounce them away. You can also do what's called boss milking if you're playing for scores. A couple bosses in the game where you can do that. You can't really do it on the first boss, as far as I'm aware. Actually, you might be able to do it on the first boss. I think some of the... I'm gonna have to test it out again. But with this guy, you can wait for his sort of like feather spikes to come out, and you can just keep attacking them, and you can pick up, you know, more of those pink chips. You can use your bombs to get your multiplier up instantly. Just like that. And you can just rinse and repeat. So notice that you have a timer. Oops, we just took a hit. So we're going to go ahead and kill him. You notice you've got a timer up top. You can milk the boss for points until that timer runs out. So that's definitely a trick to scoring in this game. And boss milking is something that I'm not a huge fan of. But this game is so short that it doesn't really bother me. And it is kind of fun. Just trying to milk the bosses. Like, we're 17 minutes into this Let's Play, we're already halfway through the game. And the first 5 minutes was just me talking, so it was probably more like 12 minutes of actual gameplay. So the game will take you 25 minutes to get through. And so for a game of that length, I don't really mind the boss milking that much when it comes to scoring. But there are some other games where it gets pretty absurd. And it makes scoring just not that much fun. So this is, you know, there's only 4 levels in this game, but each level is pretty varied. Like, we're in a trash compactor level, basically. And there's a whole lot of interesting stuff here. You've got these skull-looking enemies. They'll come out and shoot lasers at you. You've got to watch out for those. And then you can't touch any of the debris that's laying around either. Now, you can touch walls in this game. You won't actually get hurt if you touch walls. But if it's something that you can shoot or kill, that will hurt you if you touch it. It's just how, you know, the game operates. Alright, so this is going to be the first of 2 mini-bosses. And you basically need to shoot him in the middle. But if I can get this latched on with Ruby... There we go. It'll constantly do damage. So I'm not doing... I can't shoot him from the front. It does no damage from the front. But my pod is latched onto him on the part where it does do damage. So it's damaging him slowly. but it's damaging them nonetheless. And you gotta watch out for these arms too. They'll come in, they'll pin you. So it's best to just kind of sit far back on these mini bosses here. Just get a head start on these guys, shoot them from behind. Oh, I missed the health recovery. It's okay, I think we'll be fine, and I think there's going to be another health recovery at the end. Now this section right here is actually, you have to have it memorized. You have to know exactly where to be. So, there's not a whole lot you can do here. You want to stay down at the bottom, but here you want to get up and go to the top and come over to the left. Bam, just like that, see? Now it's also going to fall, so you don't want to get, you know, cornered by that. Oops, I was looking at the arm in the background, and then I wasn't paying attention to the bullets. It's okay, we still have plenty of health left over. And we're going to go ahead and just use a bomb right here, help destroy these laser turrets. Alright, this guy right here can be a little tricky, so I like to just take him out as fast as possible. And we just destroyed him. So, very good. Alright, so mini-boss number 2 is basically, you know, the same as before. Except you got a couple of turrets here, nothing too crazy. You basically just kill the turrets before the boss even comes in. And we're going to try to use the same tactic. It's not working. It's actually really tough to aim this pod from a distance. You're better off being up close with it. You can also sort of push it over. Took another hit, that's not good. When you have bombs as well, you'll notice that like these pink orbs will appear. Those are your bombs. And they actually do damage if they touch enemies, so, you know, to do the absolute most damage in this game, you want to do what's called point-blanking enemies, where, say you got a spread shot like this. If you shoot an enemy from a distance, this spread shot, not every bullet is going to connect with the enemies. But if you get up close like this, you do what's called point-blanking, where every bullet hits the enemy, or most of the bullets. It does maximum damage that way. And part of point blanking in a game like this also includes having your bomb pods touch the enemies, because that'll do extra damage. Alright, Alright, we actually have to be careful because we've already taken a couple hits, and this boss can actually be pretty tricky. He can be very aggressive. I'd say he's the most aggressive boss in the game. Even more so than the final boss. Actually, the final boss is kind of a pushover in this game. He's fun, and he's cool. I like him. But he is not that hard. You gotta watch out for this debris that comes from the top. And then this guy will basically attack you with his left arm, then he attacks you with his right arm. We can go ahead and use a couple bombs if we want to. Now you can do boss milking on this guy too. You can just constantly attack this debris. But like I said, this is an aggressive boss, so that can also be really risky. And that's it. It's so cool. It seems like it takes actual screenshots from, you know, your actions. It's really cool. I love it when games do that. Again, these are these details that you just, you know, the developer doesn't necessarily need to incorporate in their game, but the fact that they did is just awesome. So yeah, this is our final stage. There's some interesting mechanics here as well. We're gonna have these light beams, these light tracks right here, and these sort of like worm-like enemies or centipede-like enemies come out on them, and you want to shoot them in the head to destroy them as fast as possible. They'll start shooting lasers out at you. They also shoot these green projectiles out. Remember, the green projectiles with Ruby or Tempest can't be destroyed, so you have to actually dodge them. Which, when you're not used to dodging most other projectiles in the game, that can be troublesome. You know, that's definitely something that can catch you off guard. And if we come up here, there's some power-ups in case you ran out, or, I mean, you died and you needed to replenish. Alright, that saved us from taking a hit. I figured I should go ahead and just use my bombs when I need them because, you know, we're gonna get them back. See, look at this. Look at that explosion. That just refilled a ton of our bomb energy. And now we're back up to 3 bombs. Yeah, something I haven't really talked about, though, is the soundtrack. And the music in this game is also fantastic. It just fits very well for this game. Alright, there we go. Ooh. You can also actually shoot through this if you get really close to it. Yeah, so I'm not even worried about multipliers right now. I'm not trying to taper my shots. I'm not trying to keep enemies alive. I'm just trying to survive so you guys can see the whole playthrough. Definitely want to prioritize those centipede things that come out. Went ahead and used a bomb because I knew I was going to take a hit, most likely. I really like the bomb mechanic in this game because, like, I don't feel bad for using them. They're part of the game. I don't really lose points, you know, unless I mistimed it and I go too long between hitting enemies. So it's not like I'm going to lose my points either. and then I can constantly build them back up. Like, look, we're already at the back up to 3 bombs. It's great. We're gonna use them right here, actually. These laser patterns are tough. Oh, we took another hit. Not a big deal, we just got our health back. And this is it! This is the final boss.
Danger. Danger.
You'll notice you got 2 arrows on the right as well. That basically is your aiming reticle. And so that's a nice little guide that tells you, you know, the general direction that you're shooting. Very nice little touch. So this guy disappears, and he's got a couple of different phases, or a couple different attack patterns. One of them is this sort of meteor storm. This next one, he's going to change into multiple flaming balls, very reminiscent of like the little flaming planets or stars in Gradius. Gradius 2, Gradius 5, a whole bunch of other Gradius games. More modern shmup players will recognize it from the very first level of Gradius 5. Very similar. Ooh, took a hit. He just kind of like spawned right on top of me. There we go, and we just beat Omega 5 on the basic arcade mode. So yeah, I mean, the game's not super long, but I mean, it still took us about 25 minutes to get through the game, which is actually, you know, it's longer than Soul Divide. Soul Divide will take you like 15 minutes. I think it's short but sweet, and it's a nice, I think it's a nice length, personally. Yeah, it doesn't have 6 or 7 stages, but it's got 4 reasonably length stages. They're both, all the stages in the game are fairly long for what they are, so, and you see a lot of different environments, you know, you're not always staring at the same thing, so even though it's only 4 levels, it almost feels like you've got more than that. And the game is just paced very, very well. It's just a lot of fun to go through. It's a very smooth ride. Like I said, it's not horribly difficult, but if you really want to increase the difficulty, you learn how to play to the scoring system. The difficulty will raise considerably when you try to play for score. Because if you can't keep your chains up, you can't keep your multipliers up, well, you're going to have problems scoring well. Also, there's the plus game modes where it's just instant kill or instant death. So, you know, you try to get a 1 life clear in this game on that mode, it can be very, very difficult. Although you will get rewarded, you know, considerably via your score. So, but yeah, that's the end of the game, guys. I'm not gonna show any other game modes or anything like that. If you want to see other game modes on games like these, let me know in the comments below. As well as, you know, this goes for other general recommendations for Let's Plays. Let me know what you guys want to see. If you guys want to see another playthrough with like Sensei or Tempest in this game, let me know. If you want to see the retro mode, we can do another Let's Play in the future. I have no problems running through the game again to show you guys these things. But also, if there's anything else you guys want to see, I keep a running list, you know, running tabs of what people want. I may not be able to do them, I may be able to do them. Maybe they're already on my radar, and if I know that people want to see them, I can sort of bump them to the top of the list. So, you know, your feedback's definitely appreciated, so I can try to give you guys content that you really want. But yeah, if you want me to revisit this game in the future, and if you want to see retro mode, or if you want to see me go through the game with a different character, let me know, and I'll be happy to do that. I'm not sure if there are a whole lot of Let's Plays of this game on YouTube, but regardless, I'm glad I was able to still show the game off, and I definitely don't mind showing it off again, because it's an awesome game. I think it's a fantastic game. I think it was like $10 when it came out, and it's still available. I think it's still $10 on the 360. It's even backwards compatible on Xbox One, and we're actually playing this on an Xbox One X. So, you know, backwards compatibility is awesome with that, and we're able to play Omega 5 on it, even though it's technically a 360 game. Plays very well on the Xbox One, and so, you know, either way is a fantastic way to play it. Unfortunately, this game only came out on the 360 and now Xbox One, thanks to backwards compatibility. So it was an Xbox 360 exclusive, no PS3, no PS4, no Wii, no nothing like that. There was apparently supposed to be a Nintendo 3DS conversion in 2011. It got canceled, apparently, when Konami bought out Hudson. Which is kind of a shame. So it would have been nice having this on more platforms. I think it's a fantastic shooter. We'll probably never see a sequel again because shmups just aren't very popular. They were still semi-viable back in 2008, but nowadays you'll never see something like this again. Not anytime soon, anyway. So yeah, if you got a 360 or Xbox One, if you like shmups, check it out. It's awesome. I don't think you'll be disappointed, unless you're just super nitpicky, and in that case, I can't help you. So that's pretty much it, guys. Thanks for watching. If you're new to my channel, be sure to click that subscribe button if you like Let's Plays like these. I've got plenty more Let's Plays to come, and a huge back catalog of them you can sift through if you ever get bored. Thanks to everyone else already subbed. I appreciate your continued support. Also, if you guys like this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you disliked it. Every little interaction with the video helps my videos appear higher in search results and recommended suggestions and things like that. That way more people can find my playthroughs like these, and that definitely goes a long way to help me out, even though it might not seem like it does. So thanks again for watching, guys. Until the next video, take it easy.